just one of your big breaks came in, of course, the legendary comedy 1976 Car Wash. Everybody remembers that movie. It had an amazing cast: Richard Pryor, George Carlin. Oh my God, so many.
Evan Dixon.
Franklin, AJ. Yes, Lonnie, of course. Yeah, how could I forget Lonnie? Your scene in that film, even though it's a straight up comedy film, it still echoes through many circles today. And I know you've spoken on the scene. I saw your interview with T.I., which I thought was incredible. What a great interview. And T.I. seems like an awesome dude. But can you...
Good people.
Great people. Yeah, he seems like an awesome guy. Can you kind of take me back to that kind of scene and what was going through your mind knowing that you had to do like this really heavy scene in this comedy, and how did that go for you in that moment, if you can?
Well, it's the scene at the end when I'm frustrated about being at a car wash and making hardly any money at all. I'm just struggling to survive. So I decide to rob the car wash. And Abdul was an angry black man, and Bill Duke was an angry, frustrated black man in those days because Hollywood was a difficult, line to break if you were a black actor or director. So I had great frustrations. And so that scene in the end was really a manifestation of, how can I say, of me expressing, I think, what me and a lot of young black men at that time were going through, just exhausted and trying to break through a wall that held you back, and you felt like a giant had his foot on your neck. And so it was like, yeah, I was acting the scene, but I was living the scene also.
Ask you a question, and you certainly do not have to answer it, but back then at that time, do you think Bill Duke would have pulled that trigger?
No, because I had the great fortune of growing up with a mother and father that really cared about me. And pulling that trigger and what that meant to them, and how that would have destroyed them in so many ways, and my family. No. Would I have wanted to pull that trigger? Would I want to express my rage? Yes. But it would have ended my life in a lot of ways. And so no, Bill Duke didn't want to pull that trigger because, and there's something my mother and father gave me that lives in me to this day, and that is hope. I had a teacher. I was so frustrated, with the system and Hollywood and country and segregation and all of the racism and blah, 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 blah. And I went on to the psychiatrist and told him how angry I was and how frustrated I was, and I felt I couldn't do anything about it. And I went on like 10 or 15 minutes, and I think you heard this before, but he stopped me, he says, "Billy, you finished?" I said, "Yeah, I'm finished. He says, "Bill, you always talk about this giant that's got his bare foot on your neck, and he's crushing you, and you can't do anything about it. And he's got his foot on your neck." And I said, yes. He says, "But Bill, there's one thing you never realized." I said, "What is that?" He said, "Bill, you can always turn your head and bite his damn toe."
Nice response.
that gave me a whole other perspective. Because toes are tender.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can bite that toe.
I have kids that have Legos, so
You'll get a
I know all
response,
about
right?
it. Yeah, I step on them damn Legos all the time. Yeah, I just don't even get me started. Awesome. What a great answer to a great question. And again, I just know it was a very a very trying time for African American actors and actresses and filmmakers of color. And that I think that's why that scene resonates so much, because of the time. And saying that was kind of reflective of what you were going through, because I tell you, even watching it today, Bill, I'm always like, oh my God, he's going to shoot Lonnie. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to shoot Lonnie. And and that scene with you and Lonnie, when he kind of, he doesn't take the gun, he just kind of moves it away in a very, it's iconic. Everybody always talks about, I'm sure you hear about it all the time. Great film.